How are you?
You meet a lot of people, but a couple years ago, the last time I met you, the last time I saw you was in Charlottesville, Virginia, when I was working at a morning show, and you said you were going to bash my head with your guitar, and I never showed up that night to that live wrestling event, and it's my biggest regret ever working in any kind of wrestling media. So here I am again talking to you, and now we're talking about a new promotion, Jeff, and I'm in Atlantic City now.
Small world, John Paul Jones Arena, correct?
That's it, man.
Yep. You no-showed me.
All right, so anyways, so back to what we're talking about. Let's talk about Global Force Wrestling first. And here you are, and this was so quick. It was like a whirlwind of things. How long did this actually take for you to get this up on the ground, off the ground, and running?
Well, nothing happens overnight. I appreciate you having us on this morning. We're ready to talk Global Force Wrestling and the Masked Saint. But no, I left TNA in December of 2013. And I knew I was ready to close that chapter of my life. So I took a couple of months off to clear my head and figure things out. And I knew that I wasn't getting out of the wrestling business. I'm a third-generation guy, and I've been around the business my whole life and still got more of a passion for it today than I ever have. And so I just started to put the pieces together, and I sat back and really tried to look at the entire wrestling landscape and knew that something needed to be done that was fresh and innovative and sort of forward-thinking, and that's where Global Force sort of came to life. And then, it doesn't happen overnight. Strategically, I formed alliances with promotions in Japan and Mexico, all through Europe, South Africa, all through Australia, and just looked at all the promotions and bringing them under one banner. And it didn't, like I said, it just didn't happen overnight. And early part of this year, I put together we call it the Grand Slam Tour, and that's a real grassroots initiative to just create brand awareness. We're going into minor league ballparks all across the country, and when the home team is away, set the ring up on home plate, have a night of family-friendly professional wrestling action, and that's what we've been doing. We just now had our 10th show. We're headed to Vegas this Friday. We were there last month with our very first set of television tapings. We're taping a show, and the name of our show is Amped. Season 1 Amp is being taped in Las Vegas. We go back in October as well. So it's a brick-by-brick process, but it's a very exciting time for us, and different opportunities have already arisen. And this one that we're on here this morning with the Masked Saint, Ridge Rock Entertainment, is a real cool partnership. And we're going to create awareness for the movie because above anything, it's a great movie. And through this process, it's also going to create awareness for Global Force Wrestling that's tapping into different markets. And again, a brick-by-brick, step-by-step process, just creating that brand awareness.
And, of course, you have the GFW versus TNA Super Shows going on now. Did you know that this was going to happen? Like, when you started this company and you left TNA, did you have a plan set already, or was this kind of a surprise yourself when they were interested in bringing you back?
Yeah, I was not just surprised, I was shocked. Of all the promotions in the world, I would honestly say that TNA would have been probably on the very last one. But as fate would have it, I think God shone down on us, and one thing led to another, and they reached out, and we worked. It's well documented now if you're a wrestling fan, but we sort of worked through the topical issues and got down to business, and here we are now. Tonight on Destination America, and for the next several weeks, we're having super shows, and Global Force Wrestling is bringing our brand of wrestling into TNA Wrestling. So it's a win-win-win, and I say it's a win for TNA, it's a win for Global Force, and above all, it's a win for the wrestling fan.
Brett Grandstaff, also an actor, producer, writer, who's starring in the movie The Masked Saint, also with us on Pillar to Post 97.3 ESPN. Brett, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
And this is just unbelievable. This is going to be Roddy Piper's last theatrical release, in this film, and you've got a unique plot of a professional wrestler who's become a small-town pastor. And first of all, what was it like working with Roddy?
He was great. He was unbelievable. I didn't really know what to expect. Rowdy is like wrestling icon, but you're not really sure. He's got some acting chops, man. Everybody on set was just blown away. Like every time he was on, it was just like everyone was captivated. It's like everyone wanted to watch because you never knew what he was going to do. It was great. It was some of the best days of filming. But the funny story about him coming on was we were trying to find a promoter in the film, and we get a call one day. and we didn't reach out. He actually called us. He found out through the wrestling community we were doing this movie, and he's like, I hear you're doing a movie about a wrestling pastor. I want to be the pastor. And I'm like, that role's kind of taken, Roddy. He's like, oh, he's like, we got anything else? I'm like, well, we got this promoter role. He's like, oh, send me the script. I want to read it. And then he called us back after he read it. He's like, I'm in.
Wow.
So,
now, I have to ask, are there any references to being out of bubble gum in this movie?
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah, okay, all right. I just needed to know. I mean, I didn't think there was, but with the professional wrestler turned pastor thing. But anyways, Jeff, you're also going to be saluting the late Roddy Piper at your upcoming show. What was your favorite memory with Roddy?
Oh, wow. There's too many. As a kid, and before I was a wrestler, and certainly before I was a promoter, I was a wrestling fan. And so I can remember, and back in those days, that was when WWE was syndicated around the country and those types of things. But I remember way back getting a tape from his Mid-Atlantic days, some matches over there with Flair and Greg Valentine. But probably my favorite was just watching a Piper's Pit, because those were, it was a talking segment that was new, it was fresh. I mean, he was such a trendsetter. But any Piper's Pit back in the 80s, when you would watch it and you just knew something's going to happen. Right. And so as a child, those are probably my fondest memories. Then once you get to know Roddy, and, he's a lightning rod. He's very sincere, and then on the other hand, he'll get into telling the story, and then he'll get intense. And he also loved to share knowledge. He didn't mind at all telling a young guy, like it is, putting it on the table and looking him in the eye and say, and passing along knowledge. And so that's the kind of guy Roddy was.
Of course, we just mentioned about that movie, The Masked Saint. When is that coming out, Brett?
It'll be out January 8th. It will be in theaters, limited release. We're going to be in about 200 markets across the nation.
Okay.
So,
All right, well, that's really exciting stuff. We can't wait to see that. Jeff, real quick, as we're moving forward with Global Force Wrestling, and, of course, you guys are going to be in Vegas coming up Friday, right?
Yeah, this Friday.
This Friday. We are. What are your thoughts on Destination America? Do you see TNA and GFW continuing their relationship with them? Do you see yourself having a different kind of TV deal?
Well, all of the episodes have already been shot, and so at this time, as far as on-air presence, I don't get too far ahead of myself. I'm more under, I'm focused on Global Force Wrestling business at hand. I go to London next Monday and Tuesday. We got several meetings with broadcasters. I'm continuing discussions with multiple distribution outlets here. But it's an exciting time to be in Global Force Wrestling, because it's literally on the ground floor. I wouldn't be on this radio show with you this morning if it wouldn't be for Ridge Rock, because we're talking about a real, we're family-friendly entertainment. This movie, and I can't speak enough about just how good the movie is, and when people go out and see it. I know over the next 90 days, 120 days, it's going to be a part of Global Force Wrestling to let every wrestling fan know, not that just Roddy Piper's in it, or, oh, hey, this is a wrestling movie.
Right.
No, it's a fantastic movie, and that's something that at Global Force, we've partnered with promotions from around the world. We're partnering with Ridge Rock. We're trying to be innovative and forward-thinking, and that's what we're doing with all aspects, and that's certainly what we're going to do. It's a challenge, but it's one that we're going to work through, is to let our product, the television show AMP that we're taping this Friday and in October as well, is to let every wrestling fan have access to it. So it's exciting times, and you can go to globalforcewrestling.com, and we will bring you up to date on all the happenings.
I remember your first tweet after you left TNA, and you were starting to talk about GFW. You and Karen both starting to promote it, and you were going to Mexico, you were going to Japan, you were going to all these places, and you were grabbing all these wrestlers from all over the world. And now here you are, and of course the second TV taping in Vegas coming up on Friday. It's going to be a tribute to Roddy Piper. Let's not forget about the movie coming out in January, and Brett, it looks great, The Masked Saint, and limited theater release. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Pillar to Post, 97.3 ESPN.
I appreciate it, and I just want to, I'm going to throw a plug in here for the movie. You can go to themaskedsaint.com and watch the trailer. Roddy Piper's in it. If you're a wrestling fan, you will want to see it, because it will. When you watch the trailer, you'll be hooked. So I appreciate your time this morning, and to talk Masked Saint and Global Force Wrestling.